Hi there, Ryan Wyatt, and welcome to High Point Music's online video tutorials. So what we're going to cover in today's guitar tutorial is we're going to have a look at one of the coolest guitar riffs of modern history. It's none other than Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. So in this lesson, we're going to take a bit of a deep dive into not only the parts, but some of the techniques required behind it, so you two at home can get it sounding just like Jack White on the record. So let's drop this intro and jump straight into our first part. Alright, so the first part we're going to have a look at is the main riff. So Lewis will have a tone zone special on this one coming up showing you how to pull all of those sounds, but for the first part in the verse I've got my guitar set up on a single coil setting, and on top of that I've got an octave pedal running, so I've got a bass underneath my guitar tone. So here's my guitar without the octave on, just on the A string. But right now we're going to break down that first part, so let's jump in on the fretboard, have a look at it, and then I'll start walking you through it. Alright, so the first part we've got going on here is we've got our first finger placed on the 7th fret, and we're doing 3 notes from the 7th fret on the A string up to the 10th fret on the A. So the next 2 notes after we do those 3 are 7, 7, 10, back to 7 for the 4th note, and then down to the 5th for the 5th note coincidentally. That one more time is. Alright, so moving on to the next section, we've got 1, 2, 3 on the 10th, 4 on the 7th, 5 on the 5th, and then we just go down to the 3rd fret, followed by the 2nd. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th on the 3rd fret, and the 7th note is on the 2nd fret. So at this point we're going to have a look at some of the techniques that are used to get the sound. So we've looked at the notes, but what we need to do to get it exactly sounding like the record is apply a little bit of palm muting in our right hand on those first few notes. So listening in, we've got the palm muting on this part for the first 5 notes, but then we relax our palm muting to go from the 3rd fret to the 2nd fret. So that's what Jack White is doing on the recording. I'll play through it a few times so you can really listen in and hear the effect when from the palm muting to sort of create that thuddy type of bass sound with the octave pedal, and then the more sustained notes on the 3rd fret and the 2nd fret. So 3, 4. So right there you can hear the palm muting in full effect. So for those of you out there who aren't familiar with the concept of palm muting, let's take a quick look in how you can pull that sound. So effectively what we've got is the bridge of the guitar here, and what we do is we place this part of our palm across where the strings become exposed on the bridge. So you just move that forward. We've got the double cameras going so you can see what's going on, and you just want to place your pick down. So there's it without the palm actually touching the string. Move it forward and still it starts to, there we go, cut the note off there. So once you've got a nice clear type of thuddy sound, you don't want to push too far forward because you can deaden the note. But find that sweet spot and then release. Place your palm back there. So once we've played through the verse, we've got the part in the pre-chorus, which is 2 chords that builds into that main riff. So this is the part I'm talking about here. So, and then dropping into the main riff. So let's break down that section and get you guys playing through those parts. Alright, so starting off with the section building into that main riff, we've got a G, E5 power chord right there. So that starts with our first finger on the 3rd fret on the E string, followed by our 3rd finger on the 5th fret on the A string, and then our 4th finger drops in underneath to have the 5th fret on the D string. So what we're doing once we form this chord shape, we're just targeting these 3 strings, and we're going to be applying the same palm muting technique. So what we're doing with the rhythm, we're just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So in total we're hitting that palm muted chord 8 times. So just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So moving on to the next part here, we've got the A major. So what we're doing here, we've relaxed the palm muting in this section and we're just hitting an open A major chord. And I play mine like this, but there's a few different ways in which you can play your A major. So we'll look at the most basic one for you out there. Alright, so for our A major chord, we're going to start with our first finger on the 2nd fret on the D string. Then we're going to have our 2nd finger coming in underneath on the 2nd fret on the G, followed by our 3rd finger coming in on the B string on the 2nd fret. And with this one, we're just strumming all bottom 5 chords, nice and open, and in the same way we applied the 8 strums for the previous part with the G5 chord, we're going to be doing the same concept just without the palm muting. So that's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So putting it all together with the G5, we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's jump in and have a look at the chord voicings which we're going to use for this main part. So starting off, our first voicing is an E5 chord. So that's our first finger on the 7th fret on the A string, followed by our 3rd finger on the 9th fret on the D string. And it's just those 2 voicings there. So what we've got going on with this main riff part is we're actually moving that same 5th power chord shape up and down the fretboard. So our actual chord doesn't change, just the position in which we play that chord on the fretboard. So we're just going to have to make sure, if we're not used to sliding these power chord shapes around all over the fretboard, that you just take your time and just get used to the movements, and eventually you're going to be moving through it and have it sounding really awesome. So let's go through the sliding movements we're going to use. So with the E5, we're going with our strumming as well. We're going 1, 2. So 1, 2, just like that. And on the 3rd one, we're going to be sliding the entire power chord shape up to the 10th fret here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So very, very important you take your time to get that slide sounding really clean and really nice, because that's a very, very important part in accenting the main parts of this riff. So after that part, we move on to the next 2 notes in the riff after the slide. Back to the 7th, to the 5th. So you're probably starting to pick up at this point that we're just following the riff in a power chord shape. And that's pretty true, but there's a 2nd time variation which we'll get to in a second. So we go. That's the first 5. So with that slide, and then after that we're dropping down to the 3rd fret. So we'll do that again. So 10th, 7th, 5th, 3rd, 2nd. So after we've gone through it, we go 2nd time. But when we go to the 3rd fret down here, we go 3 up to the 5th and back to the 3rd before retiring on the 2nd fret here for the B5. So the start is the same. The slide up there. So that last little bit is 3, 5, 3, 2nd. So let's put the whole thing in context so you can check it out. So 3, 4. Here comes the second one. that just repeats. And then just to get out of that riff, we apply the same building section using those two chords that we used coming into the chorus, and we're just gonna, which is just our G5 to our A major open shape without the palm muting. And then we drop back into the bass part. So let's look at the technique with our left hand so we can really rock out with our strumming and not be too concerned about hitting those strings in and around the power chord shape. So what we're going to be doing is, it's a little bit of an advanced technique for rock strumming, but what I want you to do is, looking in at my first finger, I don't have my first fingers and my third finger actually up on their fingertips. I've got them laid a little bit flat. So we'll just focus on the first one for now. So you can see I'm fretting the note here with the pad of my finger. So the tip of my finger is actually deadening that note there. So if I flick the volume on, all right, and then we're going to apply the same concept with the third finger, but this time the third finger is not necessarily on the pad, but it's blocking the G string underneath. So if I put the two fingers on together and I just strum the top four strings, there's got our chord surrounded by those thudding notes, okay? And the reason why we do that is so we can relax with our strumming and not have to focus too much on just hitting those two strings. The added bonus of using this technique is it actually thickens up the sound of the power chords and adds this really nice percussive effect into our strumming so we can get really thick, fat sounding guitar riffs. So there we have a nice, short, sharp, punchy lesson today, but what we've got there are all the parts that you're going to need to be able to play Seven Nation Army for yourself and be able to replicate the same techniques and sound as Jack Wyatt. As I mentioned earlier, keep an eye out for that Tone Zone video, because Lewis will be dropping that one very, very shortly, and how you can pull those different sounds from the verse to the chorus to get it sounding just like Jack Wyatt. So if you appreciate the content of these videos, smash those like, subscribe, and share buttons. We very much appreciate people getting behind what we're doing. Also, if you'd like to ask a question that could be potentially featured in future online tutorials, drop a comment on this video or on the blog if you're watching it on our website, or you can send an email to learn@highpointmusic.com.au. You can also support what we're doing to help us make more videos for you all out there and other great content by hitting the PayPal donate function. Just go to our website, click on the donate link, or if on YouTube, down below, and you can send us whatever amount you feel this content is worth for you. And lastly, if you want to work with me one-on-one, the best way to do that is to book an 8-week tailored video program with yours truly, where I assess your challenges and come up with a personalized video program to help you get from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest possible times. So have a heap of fun with this one. Practice up those techniques and let me know if there's any questions in the comments below. I'm more than happy to help you all out there and get a bit of an interactive community going on this channel. Practice hard, and I'll see you all soon.